The Fringe Podcast, Season 5, Episode 20. Anomaly XB-6783746.
This is John Noble, and you're listening to the Fringe Podcast.
Support for the Fringe Podcast is provided by listeners like you and by this week's sponsor, Global Cash Card. Learn how Global Cash Card provides world-class solutions for pay cards, gift cards, per diem cards, flex cards, and more by visiting thefringepodcast.com/Global Cash Card today. Welcome back to the Fringe Podcast, a podcast dedicated to the Fox television show
Herman's Head.
I do remember this. I remember the name. I might have watched an episode, but that I don't even remember what it was about.
Yeah, I think there was like actors that played parts inside Herman's Head.
Okay.
If I remember right.
I think that's right.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
It was like early 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't remember when, but yeah, I think that's right. I'm not sure. But anyway.
Should we find out? No, we shouldn't. We should get on with the podcast.
Are we going to stay focused tonight?
No.
No. Come on. We never stay focused. What are we talking about tonight?
We haven't been focused since season 3.
How you doing, man?
Good. I'm doing fantastic.
Good. I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking.
Hey, Daryl.
Yeah?
Are you glad or disappointed that we didn't experience the Mayan apocalypse yesterday?
I'm perfectly okay with it. It means I get to continue my life, which I enjoy. I have my wonderful family. I have my wonderful podcasting partner. I get to see the end of Fringe.
That was Daryl blowing smoke. I'm excited about Fringe, but hey, to be honest, I didn't prepare for this podcast at all.
Uh-oh.
Due to the Mayan apocalypse.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just going to be winging it all
How
night.
is that different from any other week?
Oh, yeah. This episode was written by David Fury. Thank you for putting that in the notes.
You're
David
welcome.
Fury's done a lot of episodes.
I love David Fury. I really, really do.
That's right. It was directed by Jeff Hunt.
Yep.
The title of this episode, of course, we're talking about Fringe, was Anomaly XB-6783746. You know the startling thing about that number? To me?
What is the startling thing to you about that number, Clint?
That it is... Carry the 9. It is in the millions. If you put the little commas in there.
Okay.
Does that mean that they killed almost 7 million chromosomal anomalies?
I don't know. I mean, you'd have to look at it and see, is there a possible check digit configuration there, taking up the last couple of spaces, maybe?
Nice.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say.
That's a lot of people that they killed.
Yeah. Pretty good episode. I think both of us gave it high scores. Let me just say, too, that I'm fighting some head cold. You might be able to detect that in my voice, but...
Not just a head cold.
The head cold.
But some head cold.
Yeah,
yes.
It's better today. I'll try to cough as much off microphone when that occurs. So I apologize in advance if.
Daryl is feeling better today than yesterday.
Yeah, and yet better yesterday than the day before.
But not as good as tomorrow.
I hope that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of singing to do tomorrow, and right now it's not looking so good. But anyway.
Every day's a new day.
I don't know that song.
What? You don't know that song?
I don't think I do. Who's it by?
I have no idea.
Well, apparently you don't know much about it either.
I love you more today than yesterday.
I'll tell you what, Clint. We've got some awesome stuff in our Fringe binge today. We're going to talk about the Fringe finale party that we're putting on.
Yep.
Okay, we've got some exciting stuff about a Fringe event happening at Paley in Los Angeles.
I saw this, yeah.
We've got some Science Channel news, and we've got an update on that Fringe poster thing that I muddled through last week.
Yep.
We've got more and better information on that.
Good deal.
So what do you say we get into it? And
Let's
a surprise. We have a surprise, too. It's going to be great.
Like a surprise?
A surprise.
A surprise?
Yeah.
It's time to get the scoop on Fringe. It's the Fringe Binge. The Fringe Binge.
I got to admit, the surprise is more of a surprise for Clint than it is for me. But if those of you who are joining us in the live show or watching the video on YouTube, which is youtube.com/The Fringe Podcast, you'll notice that the entire podcast so far, we've had this box sitting right here.
Yeah, all 3 minutes of the podcast.
It's a USPS priority mail box. I saw the guy come to the door today. I knew we had a package. I wasn't expecting anything, so I thought it was something that my wife had ordered. We were getting ready to walk out the door to go to my in-laws for Christmas, and I thought, I should get that package off the door before we leave, so it's not there. And what do you know? It's from one Maureen Paolini from California.
I'm laughing at the chat room. Sorry. Megs and Pa.
And so here's the box.
Did we get step one?
I'm gonna read the note to you, Clint.
Okay.
This is handwritten
Whoa.
note from Maureen. Hi, Daryl and Clint. Sorry it took me so long to send these, but this semester was crazy. Daryl, enclosed is the tiny fringe bear. So right here it is. She sent us one of these brick. What are these things called? Bear brick. It's a bear brick.
Let me see.
Fringe bear brick. Here we go.
It is fringe.
And she says the box is open because these bears are not identified on the box. You have to choose and take your chances. I got lucky when I picked out this box.
Wow.
Clint. Enclosed is a T-shirt my students were selling as a fundraiser for their organization. Check out the back, and you'll know why it made me think of you. Thanks for the many hours of enjoyment I received listening to the podcast, Maureen Paolini. And look, grapevines, which I have never had before, and red vines, which I love. More grapevines. And more red vines.
That was the best care package ever.
Is that like all full of wind or what? Get the box out of here.
Oh, this is awesome. Check this out. It says, I heart science.
Oh, there's a sticker in here.
And then look at what the back says, Daryl.
Bringing nerdy back.
Bringing nerdy back.
That's
San
awesome.
Diego State University. I'm bringing nerdy back. Yeah. Cool.
I'm going to take the bear up to the camera.
Daryl's going to bear himself before the camera. These are bear bricks. Yeah. They've got different kinds. They've got real steel, jelly bean, flag, fringe, Sonic. Different
like Sonic
artists.
the Hedgehog?
Yeah. Sci-fi. It's really cool.
So that's now up on my bookshelf here, or my knick-knack shelf of awesome nerdy stuff in the studio.
So awesome.
So thank you, Maureen, for that. Is she in the live chat? I don't see her. But I'm sure she'll be listening to this at some point. So there's your T-shirt.
Let's share some grapevines, Daryl.
Grapevines and red vines.
I may stick these in my ear.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That's so completely awesome, Maureen. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We appreciate that. All right. Other fringe news, Clint.
Well, probably the worst news is that we only have 3 more episodes of Fringe left.
That is bad news.
And then we have 2 more nights of Fringe.
That's right.
2 more Fringe Fridays.
That's right.
That makes me sad.
And none until January. We have January the 11th and then January the 11th and January the 18th.
Here we are, the 10th episode of the 5th season.
Yeah. The final season.
The final season. I'm finally starting to like this show.
Thank you. You gave me a grapevine.
You missed
Let me
my
see
joke.
if I can listen to these.
You missed my joke there.
I wasn't listening to you.
I said this is the 10th episode of the 5th season. I'm finally starting to like this show, and now we only have 2 more days left.
Yeah, well. So we mentioned there was some confusion with the way they handled the ending of the episode, because they said that it was a 3-part finale, and that's been said before in interviews, that the final 3 hours of the show are one big episode, but we are getting 1 episode on the 11th and 2 episodes on the 18th, so they are kind of one story that will make sense as a whole, but we're still going to get them separated into 2 parts. 1
That's
and then
true.
2. Yeah.
Yep.
So we're going to get The Boy Must Live on January the 11th.
Which I'm real excited about.
Yes.
We even got that this week
We did.
in the flashback.
We sure did.
Yeah.
Was it a flashback, flash forward, a flash sideways? That part was a flashback.
Not funny. Not funny, Daryl.
And then on January the 18th, the two-part finale. The first part being called Liberty, the second part being called An Enemy of Fate. And I am really going to struggle tonight. I apologize. Okay. Our Fringe finale party, we mentioned, is also going to be on January the 18th here in Oklahoma City. I gotta be honest with you, Clint. I'm getting a little nervous. We didn't get things organized as quickly as we would have liked.
That's true.
We had 74 people vote on our poll that they were going to be here.
Yeah.
So far, we've had 10 people buy tickets.
Ooh.
So I'm quite nervous that we've bought space and stuff like that. So if you were one of the 74 that had voted, if you could buy the ticket or let us know, hey, I thought I was going to be able to make it, but I'm not. That way we can kind of reassess where things are at. That would be awesome.
I think that sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
We may just have it in Daryl's basement.
Because we kind of need to know. So,
Well,
yeah.
Technically it's Daryl's mom's basement because
Hey.
that's where Daryl lives, but...
You know what? I thought you weren't going to mention that.
Oh, sorry.
So yeah, let us know. The hotel reservations must be made by January the 2nd. That's when the discounted rate will go away. So keep that in mind as well. Okay?
That's true.
All right. And you can go and get all the information you need to know about the party over at thefringepodcast.com/party, or just go to our website. Right at the very top of it, there's a banner that says that mentions the party and says, learn more. You click that, it'll take you over to the page. So just go over to thefringepodcast.com and look for the banner across the top of the page. We hope to see all of you guys here in Oklahoma City, and we understand that not everybody can make it, and we get that, and so if you're able to make it, we'd love to have you. If you're one of them that voted and thought you were going to be able to make it, but now you can't, please let us know so we can at least bear that in mind with our planning. Okay?
All right.
All right.
Hey, we got a special guest in the chat room.
Or do we?
Yeah.
Who do we have?
Ari, I think, is in there.
Ari Margolis
Ari,
is
yes.
in here?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. Hey, Ari. Is that it?
Yeah, that was it.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to say hi.
Yeah.
Give a shout out.
I think that's awesome.
I felt bad because he stopped in the season premiere.
Did he?
Yeah, in the chat room. That was the last time I think I saw him. And man, I was laying into the show, and I got about halfway through my diatribe, and then he checked out of the chat room. So I will say I've done a complete 360. Oh no, not a 360.
That'd be right back where you started.
180 from where I was at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, he says he's popped in a few times. Hey, Ari, let me ask you. We were just talking about that flash forward, flashback, slash flash sideways.
It's a flashback.
Well, the end part where we saw September with hair.
Oh my goodness.
We don't know if that was a flashback or a flash forward.
Yes, we do.
My question to Ari, since he's in the chat room, and Ari does a lot of the promotional videos and teasers for Fox and for Fringe. Did you do that line of editing or no? Was that you or no? Because I thought it was wonderful, and if you did it, I'd love to give you a shout out. But we'll give him a second to respond to that. And while he's doing that, let's talk also about the awesome Fringe Marathon on Christmas Day over at the Science Channel.
Holy cow, I know what I'm doing.
They did the Thanksgiving Day Marathon.
I know. I'm kicking the kids out of the living room.
Yeah.
They can take their toys and play somewhere else.
Lock them in the closet. No, let's not do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He says Ari says that the montage was cut by Timothy Good,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't good. It was great.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. So yeah, over on the Science Channel, Christmas Day Marathon, starting at pretty early in the morning. What, 7:30, 8:30, depending on your time zone, I guess. So go check that out. You don't want to miss it.
I'm excited.
Merry Fringemas, everybody.
Merry Fringemas. Merry Fringemas.
That's right. Okay. Now, we mentioned last week the posters that are happening over at the Fringe, not the Fringe.
The Fringe Binge?
FringeBenefitsProject.com. And it's a series of 8 posters that are being released. You can go and you can vote for your favorite Fringe episodes, and they'll take those episodes and then they'll turn them in. They'll make a poster that depicts something from that episode. Well, they got the first one done already. The first one is out this week. As of yesterday at like 5 o'clock, there were less than 30 left.
Whoa!
They're only making 150 of these for each poster, but only 100 of them are going to be made public. So go check out fringebenefitsproject.com. The first poster is White Tulip.
Oh my goodness.
I bought one.
Did you?
I bought one. It will be up here in the studio whenever it comes in. I'm going to check and see if it happens to be showing out of stock now. Because like I said yesterday, there was less than, they tweeted and said there was less than 30 available. So I'm going over here, scrolling down, adding it to cart, and it says I can check out. So I'm going to assume they still have a few left as of right now, but if you want one, go over to fringebenefitsproject.com. Shipping was about $13 for me, so $30 for the poster, $13 for shipping for charity, so go check that out. I need you to take over.
That's true. All right, this is some exciting news, Daryl, that we got this week. The Paley Center, am I saying that right?
That's right. That's the way I say it.
For Media is going to host the Fringe Benefits Gallery exhibit, which will contain these posters, I assume?
That's correct, yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
They're going to do a screening, a panel, and reception on Wednesday, January 9th, which is before the Boy Will Live, 2 days before.
Yeah.
Right? This is in Beverly Hills, if I remember correctly. Yep, Beverly Hills. For members, it's $15. It's open to the general public starting Friday, December 21st for $20 for the show. People that are scheduled to appear at this event. This is a pretty big list.
Yeah, this is pretty awesome.
J.J. Abrams, co-founder and executive producer. And who else cares?
That's right.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter after that. That's enough
right.
to get you in the door, isn't it?
They do say additional cast members and members of the creative team will be announced. It'll be moderated by Jeff Jensen, who's a senior writer for Entertainment Weekly. Starts at 7:30. Other big news for our UK listeners. I know Zero Fights is in the chat room now.
This is awesome. I'm so
really
excited
cool.
about this, yeah.
And I'm not even in the UK, but I might fly there just to
No. You
live
have
the
to be in
experience.
Oklahoma
What?
City, man.
No. I was one of those people that RSVP'd but don't plan on showing up.
I see.
See how that works. Sky One HD will air the 2-hour Fringe finale at the exact same time it is live on the U.S. East Coast, which is 1:10 a.m. on January 19th.
Yeah, it would be technically
right.
January
Yeah,
19th
that's
for
right.
them. 1:10 caught me off. I mean,
I guess they have to stagger it, I guess, a little bit.
they do handle their commercial breaks differently over there,
That's
so maybe
true.
that's it.
Yeah, maybe they don't have as many commercials.
Yeah.
It'll repeat it at its usual time on Wednesday,
Yeah.
January 23rd at 10 p.m.
So that's so cool. So, yeah, and that means that if you're in the UK after you finish the episode, we'll be turning on the webcam from our party, and you'll be able to join the live show if you want to stay up until, 4 or 5 in the morning.
That's
Just don't
right.
go to sleep. Just pull an all-nighter
That's
for
right.
Fringe, man.
Just give it up. Give up the ghost. If you have to
Yeah.
work that day, just take it off.
Yeah, that's right. So that's cool. I'm so glad to hear that they're going to be able to do that. And,
Me too.
And kind of make it a worldwide event that way.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm excited. All right,
All
Daryl,
right.
what do you say we get into our Bunsen burners?
All right, let's do it. Would you like to go first? Shall I go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I gave this, I was on the fence.
Okay.
I changed it several times in my mind.
All right.
But I gave it a 9.8 lizard brains,
Oh. Lizard brains.
which I think is tied with my highest rating.
That is very high. That is very high for you. I gave it 9.5. That's Dr. Daryl Hastings. So now I'm a character on Fringe, and you are not.
They didn't kill him off, though.
I know.
My character's coming next week.
Actually,
It'll be Clint the redneck kick that helps the team in the forest or something.
Yeah. Now, you could argue that he is kind of a combo of us. You don't have a doctorate, but
That's true.
you should go get a doctorate in something.
Yeah.
But he had the beard like you.
Yeah.
He had the lab coat. Was
That's true.
sciencey just like you.
I do shop at Hastings a lot. So.
Yeah. So, but he had my name. So
That's
he's
true.
not you. He's me.
That's right.
That's right. I'm the doctor.
Yeah, he stood up real well to those observers.
That's
didn't
all
he?
right. He was about to pull out his sonic screwdriver and take care of those
That's
guys. I'm the doctor.
Trust me.
Man.
I'm a doctor.
You ready for the recap?
I am indeed.
All right. The episode begins in the Harvard lab. The team is talking to Michael and trying to get him to communicate back to them. However, everything they try fails. Olivia can tell that whatever empathic link she once shared with the boy is now gone. Olivia calls Nina to see if there's a way that she can help them. Nina knows that it is not safe for her to talk at her office and leaves to speak with Olivia in a more secure location. A few minutes later, Windmark and his goons show up at Nina's office. They have traced the sublimation device used in the episode 5/2010 back to the Ministry of Science and Nina's office. One of the observers retrieves a device that is able to pull in sound waves trapped in glass, and they are able to hear the conversation that Nina had with Olivia and learn about the child observer. Windmark decides to go to the facility where the sublimation device was taken and look for more clues. Meanwhile, Nina meets up with the Fringe team and takes them to a hidden lab that is still being operated by Massive Dynamic. Peter tells her about Walter's erratic behavior and that he does not approve of Walter's decision to remove the brain pieces again because Walter may not be able to endure it. Nina tells Peter that Walter knows the risks and that he understands that anything worth fighting for comes with a cost. Windmark arrives at the Ministry of Defense warehouse and begins interrogating the staff members one by one. Nina's confidant, Dr. Daryl Hastings, is there, and it's only a matter of time before the observers get to him. At the Massive Dynamic lab, Nina leads the team inside, and we see chambers with observers inside. Nina's team has been studying them to try and learn how the observers are able to read them and figure out how to replicate it. However, they were not successful. She does believe that they can use the technology to communicate with Michael. They hook him up to an electrocognitive translator, but his thoughts are unlike anything else they've seen, and they can't decipher anything. Olivia, Peter, and Walter decide to go to the Ministry of Defense warehouse to retrieve another ECOG device. At the warehouse, Hastings is called in to see Windmark. Hastings tries to lie to Windmark, but it's useless. Windmark can see that he's lying and begins reading his mind. He asks Hastings where Nina is, but he doesn't know. They try to track Nina's comm device, but the Massive Dynamic lab is underground and her device can't be reached. The Fringe team arrives at the warehouse and tracks down the equipment they need. They see Hastings being interrogated by Windmark. Nina goes outside to call and check up on Olivia, and her comm device is immediately tracked. Olivia tells Nina about Windmark and Hastings, and Nina instantly realizes her mistake. She destroys her phone and goes back inside to hide Michael. Windmark and the other observers leave the warehouse and head out to the hidden lab. The Fringe team rescues Hastings, and then they head back to the hidden lab. Windmark finds Nina alone in the lab. He asks her where the others are, but she is able to block her thoughts. He sends his men to search the lab, and they find the observers in the chambers. He calls her an animal and asks her about the boy. He says that the boy is a mistake. Anomaly XB-6783746. He was scheduled to be destroyed, but went missing. It was a great mystery in his time. No one ever knew what became of him. Nina is still able to hide her thoughts, so Windmark decides it's time to resort to a deeper extraction method. He can tell that Nina is not afraid of him and asks her why. She says that the observers are like lizards. They have evolved for millions of years, and yet they form no bonds, and love does not exist for them. And likewise, because of all the years of evolution by the observers, they redeveloped and honed primitive instincts. They are the animals. Windmark orders her to be restrained, but she grabs one of the loyalists' guns, turns the gun on herself, and takes her own life. The Fringe team arrives back at the lab and carefully make their way inside. They find equipment strewn everywhere and Nina's lifeless body. Walter runs to her side and clutches her hand and weeps. Peter sees that the security cameras are still on and accesses the video to learn what really happened. They see Nina leave with the boy and come back alone. They realize that Nina took her own life in order to protect them and Michael. They look around the lab and find Michael hidden in a space underneath one of the observer chambers. Michael sees Nina's body and cries. They all arrive back at the Harvard lab and hook up the ECOG devices to Walter and Michael. Michael indicates that he is able to understand Walter, and Walter asks him about Donald. Michael takes off the device and approaches Walter. He touches Walter's cheek, and Walter sees a flash of events involving Peter's death, the doorway to the other universe, Raiden Lake, several shots from the episode Inner Child, and September saying the boy is important. Then he flashes to a point in the future. He enters a room and sees a man in a blue sweater looking out a window. The man turns and smiles, and we see that it is September with hair. Walter awakens from the flash and tells the team that he knows who Donald is. Donald is September.
I was just telling Daryl, I saw that, that last clip, and Donald turns around.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I recognize that guy, but I can't place him. Who is that?
He's like a peach. He's got hair. Two things
funny
to announce, and one of them just left me. The first one, maybe it'll come back to me. That's sad, isn't it? Oh, I know what it was. I had my first grapevine experience during that. These are excellent. Guys, if you haven't had grapevines, if you're like me and you've never cracked the seal of a grapevines package, I highly recommend it. Thanks, Maureen, for sending those out to us. I've had red vines before. I love those. Grapevines, excellent as well. The second announcement, we mentioned during the binge that Ari Margolis was in the chat room joining us tonight. We will be having him as a guest on our podcast on January the 11th, and we could not be more excited. We've been trying to hook up with him for the better part of 2 seasons now, and it just hasn't worked out until now.
In a totally platonic way.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. But anyway, we're totally excited to have him. So we'll be interviewing him and talking with him about all the stuff that he has done with Fringe over the last 5 seasons. That'll be on our January the 11th podcast, so join us for that.
Yep.
All right. Clint, do you have some science to smack down on us today?
A little bit.
All right.
We're looking into the science of tomorrow. We're looking into the science. Oh, Clint, please tell us what's the science of tomorrow. Oh, Clint, please tell us about science. Take us to your wiki leader.
All right. This week's Science of Tomorrow. Sorry, I had a mouthful of grapevine.
I was like, what? I know that awkward silence is your shtick, so
Yeah.
I never know quite what to expect there.
We're going to be talking about genetic anomalies.
Okay.
Are you excited, Daryl? As excited as I am to talk about genetic anomalies.
I am excited, Clint. Let me tilt my head so that I can understand you more clearly.
There you go. That was a neat touch, by the way. Anyways, this is actually about a year-old article, but I thought it was kind of neat. We'll go ahead and put this in the show notes, but a study of the proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences did a study, and they identified the genotypes, which is the genetic code part, not the expressed code part.
Okay.
Identified 46 people, 23 couples. For this specific part of their gene, they had either GG, AG, or AA.
Okay.
And the people
RP?
who had the GG genotype
Mm-hmm.
were more prosocial, while people having the AG or AA genotype were less likely to be empathetic or have parental sensitivity. They had fewer positive emotions.
Okay.
Which I think is pretty cool. So they linked it to the body's oxytocin receptor.
What is that?
Oxytocin is a hormone that is used for a lot of different things. One of which is for triggering production of breast milk.
Okay.
So, there you have it.
So
GGs are more sensitive to breast milk.
Well, I'm sure the AAs and the GGs and all that stuff made sense to some of you sciencey folks. It meant nothing to me.
Well, it's just...
I know you said it was the receptors.
It's just a one-line switch, a one-spot switch.
Yeah.
You know, in DNA, there could only be 4.
There can be only one, Clint.
There can be only 4 letters, if you will. They're actually different deoxyribonucleic acids, but they're represented by A, T, C, and G.
Right.
And so,
I know that. Yeah. I mean, not that I could have recited that, but that's a factoid. It's a factoid to me. It doesn't actually mean anything to me.
Doesn't mean anything to anybody else unless it does.
Okay. And that's fine. I'm not asking you to make it mean anything else. I'm just saying,
Daryl, if you're a GD receptor, that means that you love hugs.
Oh.
Manly bear hugs.
Brothers don't shake hands.
Brothers hug.
That's right. All right. One other thing before we get out of science. This is from Ed, and this is in response to the buoyancy thing that I threw on you last week.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I don't know how much I edited out of that, but I literally said, Clint was like, I have no science this week, and I sarcastically said, oh, yeah, why don't you teach us about buoyancy? And so you did. But you didn't get it quite right.
Yeah, I never do.
Yeah. So Ed says, sorry, Clint, but you mixed up Archimedes' principle and Newton's second law.
What?
Archimedes' principle states that the upward buoyant force is equal to the weight of the fluid displaced, which by Newton's second law must equal the weight of the boat if there is to be no vertical acceleration. Nerdily yours, Ed. That came in as a comment on our website.
Is that not what I said?
I don't know.
I guess not.
What you say is wah, wah, wah. I mean, really, I don't know what you say.
Okay.
I don't have a science mind.
Why do we even do this segment? You know what?
What?
I'm only going to do it twice more, and then I'm done.
And then you're done.
And then I quit.
All right.
I quit the Science of Tomorrow segment.
Well, thank you for doing it tonight. I appreciate it. Let's do some food for thought.
Root beer float.
Butterscotch pudding.
Mr. Papaya.
Fruit cocktail. Coffee yogurt.
See, you went and made Tony Caselli sad all over again. You mentioned that there were only 2 Science of Tomorrows left. You got to bring. Why do you have to bring it up?
There's probably only one Science of Tomorrow left.
It's going to be hard to do one for the finale.
It is going to be hard to do one for the finale.
Yeah, but
unless it's a Science of Today.
Yeah, we still haven't talked about. Are we going to come back and do some sort of?
No, I'm done.
Semblance of a normal podcast.
Nope, I'm done.
I'm not going to let you get off that easy.
I don't want to ever see you again after.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Why don't I have any science mimes? I don't have an answer for that one, Brandon. All right, so this week we got waffle sticks, which was pretty cool.
Yes.
He had sprinkles on the end of his, if I saw it right.
Yeah, it was like coated.
Yeah. And then we had grapevines. He tried to give Michael some grapevines. Michael doesn't know what he's missing out on, man. These things are great. I'm going to eat one right now. Was there any other food that we had this week?
Well, yes, we did.
What do we have?
I can't quite put my lips on it.
I said grapevines.
It was something that I could sink my teeth into, though. No, we didn't have any other foods.
Okay. Just trying to mess with me, huh? I will tell you that the glyphs this week spelled sense, which ties into Michael, his sensory capabilities.
He was obviously a business person.
Yeah, had good business sense.
Yeah, and if it's not making dollars, it's not making sense.
He's going to make it rain.
That's right.
He's going to make it rain.
In the club, making it rain. I could just see the little bald boy tossing up money, making it rain.
Hey, we got that last season with DRJ.
Yeah, that's right.
Making it rain with...
That's right.
money with what was it, like a transmitter in there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so with the Tagant.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm so poor when I go into the club, I make it hail.
That's
I
right.
just get out bags of pennies and throw.
Hey, whatever you can do, man. Just do the best you can. All right, so let's talk about the episode. We had a lot of really interesting things. You and I both gave it high scores, so that means we both liked it. I think that's what that means. So hopefully we'll have a lot of positive things to say about
this
it.
is not golf. High scores are better.
Let's talk about, where do we want to... I already mentioned that I made the show. Daryl is now a character on the show, so we don't have to recover that. Do you want to start out talking about Michael, and he is the anomaly, and kind of just talking about some of the things that we learned about him this week?
Yeah, that he's not a boy.
Well, the observers don't see him as that, or at least Windmark doesn't.
He's not. He's not a boy is what they said. They said that he's a genetic anomaly.
Right. I don't think that they recognize him as being one of them.
I don't think that he's actually a child.
Well, he may not be if he's
I think
1,000 years old.
Yeah, he's genetically short in stature
Right.
and has a youth-like appearance.
Yeah. It's one of two things. It's like we talked about last week, where they age, very, very slowly. So he could be 500 years old, but appear to be, 10? Or it could be like that episode of Mork and Mindy, where you start out looking old and you get
Younger.
You look younger the older you get. So like the boss man is like a little kid.
I would have gone with Benjamin Button, but
No, Mork and Mindy.
Mork and Mindy.
Do you remember that episode of Mork and Mindy?
Who's even heard of Mork and Mindy?
Well, apparently you have, since you're acting like it's nothing you've never heard of before.
I've nanu ever heard of that.
That was back before Robin Williams was a movie star. He was just a TV star.
Yeah, back when he was funny.
Well, I still think he's funny. I'm going to lean more towards that he ages slowly. So he could be a few hundred years old or 1,000 years old, whatever, but he appears like a 10-year-old boy because they age slowly.
I think that he actually is an adult that has a genetic
He has a
disorder.
genetic anomaly that, and that could be. I didn't lay that out there as a possibility. I guess the other possibility is too that he traveled through time. So maybe he really is only. They said he hadn't aged a day since he got there. So I think it's given that he ages at a different rate. So let's say he's 100 years old, but he traveled through time, so he doesn't appear to have aged as much as he might have. Does that make any sense? I don't know if that makes any sense, but anyway. But that's not what you mean is by saying he's not a boy, right? You're not talking about that. What do you mean?
I mean that he's actually an old man.
Okay, so that is what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I was misunderstanding
No,
it.
you weren't.
Okay.
I think he's an old man.
Okay, and I won't disagree with that, but I also think that they don't really look at him as one of them.
They don't.
He's an anomaly. They won't even acknowledge that he is one of them.
Which is ironic if you think about it.
In what sense?
Assuming that in the future, evolution happens by genetic mutation.
Okay.
Unless they figured out a different way to do it. The fact that they have become, quote, more advanced means that they've evolved past where humans are today because I'm assuming of genetic anomalies.
Yeah.
And now they're erasing all the genetic anomalies out of their...
It kind of ties back into the Bishop Revival in a sense.
Yeah.
Wasn't that what they were trying to do? Was he was...
Purifying the master race?
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've talked about the observers having... I mean, the loyalist uniforms. And there's Nazi themes throughout certain aspects of the show that we've seen in a long time through the comics back in season 1 even.
The fascist themes. Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I agree.
that would tie in.
I still want to know
They're
why
all
there are
white
no
males.
female observers.
Right. I think we might get that answer next week. I'm not sure.
I hope so.
No, I'm not sure. I'm based on the preview, but
I didn't see the preview.
I know, and that's I'm not spoiling. I won't say what I think I saw that might give that up. But maybe.
That'd be
I'm
awesome.
still not sure.
Yep.
I guess it won't be next week. It'll be in 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah. Okay. So we learned that he does not have tech in the back of his neck.
Which is awesome.
What does that mean? Does that tell us anything? Did he not get the tech because he was an anomaly and therefore
Yeah, they were going to kill him.
he didn't Like they put the tech in you. You're not born with the tech.
Right.
So they never gave him the tech.
Right.
Is that what you think?
I think so.
Okay. I could totally go for that.
Yep. Which is awesome. Means that he's got special powers without the tech.
Yeah. So is that going to be what the differentiator that's going to allow him to overcome them? He still has a lot of the genetic makeup of the observers, but he's not like them, so he'll be able to have emotion and things like that could be used to overcome them.
I have my own theory.
You want to smack it down right now?
Well, I kind of already did last week, but I'll bring it back.
Okay.
Well, did I? It's something I thought about last week. I don't know if I actually brought it up.
Okay.
I think that because he is an empath, he is part of the, quote, weapon to destroy the observers.
Okay.
I think that they're going to somehow take his genetic code and spread it out through the observers so that they can have emotions again.
Yeah.
And that they'll somehow become more like normal human beings.
Okay.
Because of his genetic code. Now, whether or not they can do that now so that in the future the observers as we know them don't exist, that would be cool. But I think, personally, we saw September. Not only did he have hair
right,
and normal clothing,
right,
but the last thing he did was smile,
right,
which was creepy.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that now?
Sure.
Is that too much of a tangent to get on right now?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
So do you think that was a flashback or a flash forward or
Definitely
something
a
else?
flashback.
You think definitely a flashback?
Definitely.
When you say flashback, it's something that has already happened. Is it an event that has already happened but yet happened in the future?
No.
So it happened in the 70s or 60s or...
No. It happened in the teens.
Oh, well, way back then, huh?
Not 1900s. The 2010s.
No.
Yeah. When Walter and September were formulating the plan, he was Donald.
Uh-huh.
That was Walter remembering Donald.
But how did he have hair back then? Donald.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that here's what I think happened.
Okay.
They found the boy. September and Walter put together this plan. They, quote, cured September.
Okay.
And then when Walter got put in the amber, Donald went out and started carrying out the plan. Donald being September.
I like all of that except for how did they cure September?
They used... Walter was able to extract some of the boy's DNA and splice it with September's DNA.
I don't know about
to cure. And the all of the things that they're using, the big electromagnet and the amphilicite or whatever the mineral is, the crazy mineral.
Yeah,
it's gonna be used. I don't think it is amphilicite. Was it?
You talking about the
stuff that gave the people the tree people?
Yeah, from the well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's not amphilicite.
Yeah.
The red rock.
Yeah, the red rock.
Uh-huh.
That is going to be used to spread emotions back into the observers.
And hair.
And
Brandon.
smiles.
What is his name tonight? I am Donald of Pie. He says when Walter said that what happened to September was unexpected, he was referring to his spontaneous hair growth.
There you go.
Maybe so. But
it all makes sense.
Maybe so.
And you know what? When I saw the flashback this week,
yeah,
with September being Donald, it was one of those things. I was just like, of course, September is Donald.
Well, that's what you said last week, right? That's what I said last week.
What?
That September was Donald.
That's how I recall it.
That's how I recall it.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever said to Chip in North Carolina that he was on an island by himself with that theory.
No.
Or
no.
to Interdimensional Dave that he could join Chip on his island of
Yeah,
one.
no, I was mad at them for stealing my theory.
I was too.
Yeah. No, but after seeing the way that they did it, that by the way, that's not at all what happened. After seeing that, I thought, of course Donald is September. Walter had talked about the whole time.
Yeah, that September.
Him and September's plan.
Right.
To destroy the observers or to correct the observers.
But I never thought that Donald was because he had hair. And the physique didn't make me think that it was him that they described.
I have to say, Michael Cerveris,
Yeah.
he's an attractive man with hair.
He's not without hair?
Well, I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying
So a beauty is only skin deep for
No.
you, Clint?
no. It's only follicle deep.
I see. Okay. Fair enough. All right. I still don't know. Man. I mean, my first thought, and I love what you just said there. It's makes me feel stupid for what I'm about to say. My first thought was that it was sometime in the future. And that what we saw was September, was Donald in his life, and he somehow became an observer, took on the restrictions in the sense of the emotional restrictions of an observer to come back and try to save humanity.
That's cool.
Like I said, I think it sounds kind of stupid now after hearing what your theory was.
I like that theory.
I don't know that I do. So is September the dove?
Definitely not. I think that was completely disproven
No way.
this week.
No, it wasn't.
And Nina being the dove was disproven this week.
Well, I don't even know that we can say that. Just because she's dead doesn't mean that. Spoiler alert: Nina's dead. Doesn't mean that it's just proven that she's.
Did
the
that happen
dove.
this episode?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I still think that there's a chance that
There's no chance.
September is the dove.
They said it was somebody working inside.
Okay.
There is no chance that a smiley, hairy September is somehow now part of the observers and working from the inside.
This coming from the guy who last week said there's no chance that September is Donald.
Yes.
This coming from
Sitting next to the guy who also said there's no chance.
This coming from the guy last week that said Nina Sharp will live to the end. She's like a cockroach. You can't kill her.
Yes, that was a little bit tongue in cheek, but I was right.
What?
You can't kill her.
Oh no, you're not. Go ahead.
You can't kill Nina. Only Nina can kill Nina.
Right. Okay.
They couldn't kill her. I'm just saying. They couldn't break her. Only she could break her.
Yes. But she unfortunately is dead.
That's true.
Yeah.
Was that okay? First of all, one of the best exchanges that anybody has ever had with the observers.
David Fury. I love David Fury. With the exception of Alone in the World, I have loved everything that David Fury has done.
Yeah.
That is one of my top 3 to 5 scenes of all time
I know.
in Fringe.
It was awesome.
White tulip exchange between Walter and Alistair Peck.
Yeah.
Still number 1. Elizabeth coming over and saying that she forgave Walter a long time ago.
Yeah.
Probably number 2.
Okay.
This might be number 3 for me.
Whoa.
Yeah. You also have the Astrid and Astrid scene.
Yeah, that's good.
That's right up there as well.
Okay.
Yeah, this is high caliber stuff here that she
Man,
that she laid out
let
this week.
into them.
Yeah, it was great.
She put them in their place. I loved it.
Yeah, it was so good.
It was awesome.
And that might be it for
Woodmark
quote
got
of the
pwned.
week. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. And then she shot herself and pwned him in another way.
Yeah, that's
It was
right.
like, what are you gonna do now, sucker?
Yeah, there's a reason I'm not scared of you because I'm already dead.
Yeah, she knew.
You just don't know it yet.
She knew as soon as Olivia told her that they had tracked her phone. I mean, she tore up her phone. It was too late, but she knew immediately what she had done. The what's the word I'm looking for? Critical is not quite the right word, but just a devastating mistake that she had made.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
egregious error.
Yeah,
yeah, big issue.
But really, her fate was sealed from the beginning of the episode when Mark goes looking into her office. If Olivia hadn't called her, she would have been dead earlier in the episode.
Yep.
You know,
and they would have been compromised.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Olivia prolonged her life unknowingly.
That's right.
And it worked out for the Fringe team because they were able to, get what they needed. And
she went out with a bang.
She did.
Literally.
It was a mind-blowing episode. Any more terrible puns you want to throw out there?
Oh, man, I'm sure I'll come up with some later.
But
I felt like, I don't know how you felt. I felt like, yes, this is the ending that Nina Sharp deserved in this show.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I teared up a little because it was so sad.
It was so shocking. In fact, my wife and I both were like, because The cut to commercial was so good. It wasn't click, boom. It was click, commercial.
Yeah.
They let you hang with it for a couple of seconds. And my wife and I were both like, it just went click. It didn't go boom, right? I mean, there wasn't like a... Right? Was the chamber empty? We both thought that, which tells me we need to upgrade our sound system in our living room. Because I'll listen to it on my headphones in here the next day, and it was like a... you could tell it was a gunshot. I'm like, I really need to upgrade the sound system in the living room. I don't know where I was going with that. But oh no, so we were both like, maybe she's not dead, but golly, we were and in the chat room, it was tough. Everybody was sad when she died.
Yeah. It was tough, and the thing that really put me kind of over the top was Walter when he came in and saw her.
Yes. John was fantastic.
Yes,
in that scene.
which we should talk a little bit about Walter this episode.
Okay.
He is back to his old nasty self.
Yeah.
He
was prior to Nina's death. That might rock him back a little bit into reality.
I think so. Yeah, I think that might draw him back in. Calling Michael the subject.
Yeah, wanting to put him into a drug-induced coma.
Yes.
Come on.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
You're right. Old Walter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Typical old Walter.
Yeah.
He still can't remember Astrid's name, though. What did he call her this time?
Acid was what he called her this time. Which he's got a lot of that on the mind lately.
Yeah,
so,
I know. It's really funny. I thought at the end of season 2, they were done coming up with names for Astrid.
They
But
probably
they've come up with
just
so
have
many
like
more.
a jar. If you come in, if you have an idea of an Astrid name, just drop it into the
Acid,
jar.
that's a good one.
In the writer's room, and they can just pull them out. Acid, good.
I'm glad they haven't done Asperger's yet.
No, they probably won't go that route.
You don't think so?
Well, it's a sensitive subject. I mean,
That's true.
her sister doesn't have Asperger's, but she does.
Yeah.
And plus, Old Astrid did have Asperger's, so I don't think they would do that.
That's good.
It's kind of something you don't really make a nickname out of anyway. Okay, we were really talking about Michael and some of the things that we noticed differently about him. I do want to get back to that unless you've got more to say about Nina and Walter. I did think it was interesting, an interesting parallel, that Windmark said that his disappearance was one of the great mysteries of his time. And it reminded me of the disappearance of Peter Bishop from the Redverse timeline.
Yeah.
That was one of the great mysteries. It was like the Lindbergh baby.
That's right.
Which apparently did not happen in the Redverse. I was a little bit confused by the flash at the end of the episode when Michael touched Walter. Did that reveal to us who Michael is?
I saw that in the notes. I went back and watched that scene, the flashes, several times.
I probably watched it 7 or 8 times, and I still don't know.
I still don't know. It could. We could come to the end and Michael could be September.
Yeah.
And then we would say, oh, yeah, of course.
Well, we had that theory all along.
Yeah.
When they passed on the street back in the episode Inner Child.
Yes.
We've said that they were the same. Yeah. So that could still hold true. I could still see that holding true.
Yes. I have a bigger question, but I think, how about I write it down so I don't lose it?
Okay.
Go ahead.
I could also see Michael being Peter in some weird way. I don't know how. I mean, if Peter still had the tech in his neck, then I'd be more able to see how that was happening.
Yeah.
Even though Michael doesn't have the tech. Maybe that's the answer. I don't know. I mean, do you see it possibly being Peter?
No.
No?
Not at all.
Yeah, I'm not real happy about that. I mean, just trying to figure out if there was anything we could learn from that, and I really wasn't sure. So, okay. Well, I didn't know. I didn't know if you had a vibe on that, or if you felt like that revealed something that I was missing.
I thought at first, oh yeah, they're telling us that Michael is September, but I felt like you could make the argument. We had Walter and his son, Walter and his relationship, and then it cut to September and Michael. Are they trying to tell us that September's is Michael's father?
Yeah. I had that thought too, and I dismissed it, and I didn't write it down. But I don't know why I dismissed it. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you could, if you go back through the episodes and think through it, you know, the mistakes that September has made, it's because he hurts for Walter as a father.
Oh, I like that.
And
It must be hard being a father.
exactly, and he made that line,
I'm
right?
glad I didn't bet any bananas on that.
Yes.
Oh, wait.
So
Okay. So I think that's plausible as well.
So here's what I'm throwing out. This is my theory.
Okay.
Peter dies.
Okay.
Walter dies.
Okay. This is stuff you threw out last week too.
Yes, right. But now I'm augmenting the theory. You
Oh,
like that?
I love augmentation.
Appending. I'm appending the theory.
Okay.
Olivia in September.
Uh-huh. Bow,
Yeah, brown chicken, brown cow.
And that's when
And
Michael comes along?
We have inner child, and that's why she recognizes him, and that's why they had an empathic
Hey,
relationship.
there is no question that there seems to be... She's very motherly towards him.
Yeah.
But that just could be her maternal instincts kicking in. They share a bond. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
So I'm just saying.
I think it's plausible, too. I think there's a lot of plausible theories at this point, and I think we've hit on most of them there.
I figure this is like the shotgun. I'm just trying to spray
That's right.
everything.
That's right.
If I hit something, I'll take all the credit for it.
Throw as much up against the wall. Hey,
That's right.
we only have 3 episodes left. I just hit the trackpad with my elbow. And brought the little finder window up here.
Hey, speaking of Finder, did you find her at odd? There were 2 things shown in there that we haven't seen before. Well, that's not true.
In the flashback?
Yeah.
Well, the one was with Donald in September having
Right.
hair.
Yes. Which we've already talked about.
Right.
The first thing was the Big Bang
Okay, the very beginning of it?
at the very beginning.
Okay.
That's the only thing that we haven't seen that we can't place.
Did we see that in the Sky Bridge?
We did see it in the Sky Bridge.
Okay.
So, my question is, why is that in there?
Well, let's talk about the whole thing. I mean, what we saw in there was Peter dying,
Yeah.
Walter going over across the universe,
Yeah.
them falling into the water,
Yes.
Walter getting his brain pieces removed, William Bell standing over
We
him,
had that. We had Walter and Peter meeting
Walter and Peter meeting.
in the pilot.
Oh, yeah, and
where he
him checking
examined
his eyeballs.
Yes, eyeballs.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
Which, frankly, was another thing that made me wonder, because then it went into Inner Child.
Yeah.
We saw him, the feral boy with the red eyes
Yeah.
and stuff, and then we saw him later on looking a little better. We saw him looking at September.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what made me wonder. Were they trying to say that Peter was the boy? Or were they trying to say that September was the boy? Or were they trying to say neither one of them? Okay. So those all have to mean something. Those all have to lead us down a path, right?
Maybe.
I don't know what the path is. I'm not following it.
I don't know. That is quite interesting, though.
Yeah.
Anyways. But what if that's how they destroy the observers? What
With
if
the Big
that's
Bang?
Yeah, what if they create a new universe or they implode the observers universe?
Well, you mentioned last week that you would like to. The one option that you'd be satisfied with was putting the observers in their own world and locking them in there and
Yeah.
saying, "Have fun, boys."
Yep.
I mean, I kind of put it into those
Sure.
words, but
Yeah.
and I thought about that more, and I'm not a violent person. I don't wish violence upon anyone.
Yeah.
This is a TV show. I was still, and I was like, "Destroy them!" Blah blah blah. And you were
Yes.
like, "Are you serious?" Yeah, I'm serious. I want death to the observers.
Wow. Okay. Hey,
It's a
Each
TV
their
show,
own.
man.
I have to say that I'm really feeling my theory.
Okay. Okay.
My theory that they're going to do a reset. And the reason for that, and they're going to do a reset to Raiden Lake, because this is the second time that we've seen that in a critical juncture.
Yeah, you're right. So your theory is that they're going to reset to Raiden Lake, and Walter is going to let Peter drown, not drowned.
Yeah, or they'll both drown.
Walter and Peter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or Walter will save Peter and he'll drown.
Or September will
There's
go
going to be
in and
some
all three of them will
drowning
drown.
and some people dying.
Uh-huh.
That's my theory.
Okay. Well, we'll find out. We've only got three episodes left.
Yeah.
I was going to say 3 hours, but then you would correct me and say, well, actually, it's 45 minutes per episode. And so if you add those together, it's not 3 hours. That's a pretty good Clint impersonation,
It
wasn't it?
was. It sounded just like me. What I see here?
Yeah, I carry the 1 at the 5. Okay.
You want some ice water? I'll give you an onion. That'll make your ice water.
Yeah, see? Okay. We talked about Donald being September. You mentioned September smiling. Did you want to have anything else to discuss on that?
Nope.
Okay. You have in here, is that what the machine does? Make the observers human. So are you talking about the contraption that
That
Walter's
they're building.
putting together?
Yeah, which we already talked about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I'm going to didisagree with that, but it's an interesting
Sure.
theory.
You can disagree all you want.
Yeah.
That doesn't make me any less right.
Whatever. This is just a throwaway note here. It's kind of stuck in the middle, but the secretary, Nina's secretary,
Yeah.
it was clearly an iPad. It looked like a first gen iPad to me. And where the Apple logo is,
Yeah.
they had stuck the observer
Symbol.
the
Yeah.
X symbol of
Yeah.
the observers on there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Kind of interesting. Hey, if you want to have a futuristic looking tech, you have to go with Apple.
True that.
Yeah. And just cover up the obvious
That's right.
apples.
Maybe they're making a comment about how the observer sprang forth from Apple's
Yeah.
design.
The Apple twins.
Oh, laptops must look the same.
Says the man who covered his Apple MacBook with a black cover.
That's right.
Yeah.
Fight the power, Daryl. Fight the power.
Yeah.
I did notice. I'm not going to take that one.
Okay, I'll take it. But you said I did notice.
I was going to steal your thing, and I thought, nah,
Oh, okay.
I better not.
Well, that's okay. The LQ7 device was what they called it, the device they went and retrieved to overhear the conversation that had already taken place in Nina's office. That was a cross between, in my opinion, a cross between two pieces of technology that we saw in back-to-back episodes in season 2.
Yep.
The Road Not Taken, and that was the episode where the twin sisters were catching on fire.
Right.
They had the pyro abilities.
Pyrokinesis.
And Peter cut out a record-shaped slot from the
Right,
window,
from the
put it
glass.
on
Uh-huh.
Walter's turntable, and they were able to get sounds out of it.
Right.
And so they pulled sound out of glass in this episode. The next episode, and at the end of that episode, rather, was when Nina was shot in the elevator. And that was the cliffhanger for that episode.
Right.
Picked up right in the very next episode, which was There's More Than One of Everything. And they have the security camera from the elevator. They pull the audio from it, run it through a couple of enhancements, and they determine that it's David Robert Jones
Right.
that had spoken. So this was kind of a cross between those two pieces of technology.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right.
And I love that. I love that. I mean, if we are to believe that the observers are humanity down the road, then it would make sense that they have taken fringe sciences, which were, when Peter's doing what he's doing and taking a piece of glass with a glass cutter and, doing all the stuff that he's doing, that is the science, even though it's fringe at that time. And really, it's most archaic form, right?
Yeah.
So for them to have it down to an exact science is really cool.
Yeah. Just another hint that, all of the observer's tech has been given birth to by Walter Bishop. And,
All of their tech has?
well, it seems like it.
What do you mean?
It seems like every piece of tech that we've seen the observers have, including the guns, including the ability to teleport.
I would put their guns more in line with what we saw William Bell making. They came out of the same lab, though.
Right. Massive dynamic is what I mean to say.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Being able to read thoughts,
Yeah.
things like that. I did like the upgraded skull cap,
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
like the one that's in our picture there.
Yeah, the one that Ingrid
The
did for
ECOG.
us. Yeah. There's another great example, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah,
Mhm.
very good. So I love it to see, because that's the fringe of fringe. I mean, this is reiterating in a different way maybe what I just said, but, Fringe is the fringe of science, and so just thinking about where it would be, what it would look like if it were refined.
That's true.
It's awesome. All right, anything else you want to talk about in the episode? I feel like we've zoomed through it here pretty quickly.
Yeah, man. If I could come back to one point, if ever John Noble deserved an Emmy, it was the scene where he finds
Nina. Yeah.
And just where he goes from sharp-tongued Walter to a melted, puddle of butter, or I can't believe it's not butter.
Nice. Those in the live show will know what Clint just did there.
Yeah. And those that aren't
won't get it.
That's right.
You miss out if you're not in the live show.
Right.
No, I think you're right. That was
Man.
one of his finer moments.
Every time I see him do a scene, which is almost every week now,
Yeah.
just like, give the man an Emmy.
Yeah.
Give the man an Emmy.
I'll point out, too, that it was interesting that Windmark was reading Nina, but he didn't think that he was reading Nina. And I think that she was able to throw him off a little bit.
Yeah.
But he still picked up the scent, if you will, that there was something covered up. He was looking for the boy. He was looking for any of them, I think. But and he went over to that chamber, the hyperbaric chamber-looking thing, where the observer was being stored, pulls off the sheet and sees the observer, and then goes back over to her and, sits down and really starts reading her at that point, probably thinking that she was, he probably picked up that she's probably thinking, don't look over there, don't look over there. I've got to make him not look over there. So he looks over there and sees the observer, thinking that that's probably what she was not wanting him to see. Yeah. But in reality, the boy was hiding underneath the observer, so he was there and didn't realize it.
And I thought it was interesting that this is the most emotional we've seen any observer be.
I think you're right.
When he said, you're an animal, or you animal.
Yeah. Even also when she shot herself, though, the look on his face was disgust almost, you know? There was some emotion there. He even smiled again in this episode.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. The observer boy cried. I don't know that we mentioned that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Just another thing that he's definitely different.
Definitely different. Now, was he crying himself because he was sad, or was he creating a connection with Walter?
That's a great question. That's a great question, Clint.
Being the empath that he is.
I'm going to say B. I'm going to say he had created a link with Walter.
I'd have to agree.
Yeah.
Thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Good. So, great episode. This was one of those episodes, too, that I thought the pacing was fantastic.
I did, too.
I was tense and finding myself saying, oh, exhale, Daryl. You're really tense right here. And the commercials came, and I'm like,
yeah.
But when they're in the warehouse and Windmark and his guys are right there and they're interrogating Hastings, I was tense through that whole thing.
Yeah.
When the whole thing with Nina and Windmark is going on,
Yeah.
I was tense through that whole thing.
Yeah. The car thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I loved it. It was a really solid episode for me.
Yeah. Me too.
All the way through.
This would have been a 9.9 or a 10. There are a few things that kind of took away from me. Removed just a few points. One of them was the way that they handled Nina's death from an effects point of view.
Yeah.
They had the camera behind her head where there should obviously be some
splatter,
serious damage.
Yeah.
And it's just her normal wig.
Yeah, I was kind of glad they didn't go gruesome, though.
I am too. Show a different camera angle, though.
Yeah.
And, they had blood on the floor, and then
bit.
they had the blood on the thing, but when they showed the event on the tape, there was no blood on the floor.
Yeah. I saw a few splatters on the other side of her on the floor, I think, but it wasn't very clear. There was definitely the puddle that was obviously clear.
Yeah, but not on the tape. It wasn't on the tape.
Right.
Yeah. So, just those little things.
Yeah.
It didn't really take away anything from the episode, but it was just enough to kind of pull me out of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can get that. The thing that caused me to rate it down just a little bit was the treatment of Astrid in this episode. it's on par with what we've seen most of the season. I
Yeah.
mean, she was out of the lab last week.
Yeah.
And at first I had a note in here talking about where was Astrid? Why did they leave her in the lab? But on my rewatch, Walter was quite rude to her when he called her Astrid and told her to get back to getting the tapes out of the amber.
Yeah.
And so that told us right there
What she
was doing.
Yeah.
And then they utilized her in the middle of the episode so that she could break the lock.
Hack the lock.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they needed her there for that. It was kind of a plot device to get the lock open. Okay. But I still wanted more Astrid. And I know that that's not going to happen. She's always been a side character, but they've really relegated her to even more of a side character this season. And not only her, Nina and Broyles have been the same way.
Sure. I mean, look, we've got really 2 episodes left.
Yeah.
You know, a 2 hour and a 1 hour, although they're technically separate episodes.
Right.
How many more tapes are they going to find? How many more tapes are they going to have to find?
I don't know. I was wondering that too.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I did have one last question.
Okay.
And you can help me out with this. I'm not sure that it's faux pas or misstep or whatever you want to call it. You know, we saw Widmark basically like leap, do his little teleporting thing out of Nina's office when they found out that they found her. And then he gets in this old car and then drives over there.
Yeah.
And then teleports from the elevator up to the building.
Yeah.
So can they only, quote, teleport short distances, and then for long distances they have to be driven around in a slow vehicle through traffic?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, they had some non-observers with them too, so maybe that was why. They had some loyalists with them.
Yeah, I guess they had to have, like, the foot.
That's right. I don't know.
Okay.
It's a good question. Did the old cars, did that bother you again this week?
Not as much because they were beat up.
Okay.
Yeah, they looked old, right? It wasn't like brand new, 2012 Nissan Leaf.
I'm gonna miss the car that they abandoned. I've been watching it for the last few weeks now, and that passenger mirror, every time they close the door, it's like flop, 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 flop. I don't know if you've noticed that or not.
No.
It's not on very good. Go back the last 2 or 3 episodes when they've had that car. It's like they shut the door and it looks like it's going to fall off.
And they got one of those terrible wood panel and blue
Minivans.
Dodge vans.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
From the 80s.
That's right.
Oh, my goodness. When they got in that, I'm like, you broke the wrong window, pal. That thing is not going to run. It didn't run 30 years ago. How is it going to run today?
We used to have one of those. It was a little older than that. We had an 85 Dodge Caravan.
That was like the first year that they came out.
With a stick shift.
You kidding?
No. Although it didn't have fifth gear. Fifth gear was gone from the transmission. But yeah. It was a 4-speed.
It was a 5-speed with a gear missing?
Yeah. It had been stripped out or something. Yeah. It's only a 4-speed for us. But yeah.
A
Caravan with
1985.
Yeah.
I think that may have been the first year. I have to look that up.
The Caravan?
What was the first year they made minivans? I think it was 1985.
Well, if you go to the minivan, you have to go back to the Volkswagen Vanagon, right?
No, I mean like the American minivan.
Yeah.
History. That's what I want.
Caravan was the first minivan from an American automobile maker, as far as I know.
Yeah, it was.
So just look up Dodge Caravan.
Toyota and Chrysler launched their respective smaller minivan products in the 1984 model year.
Okay, 84.
Yeah, I remember that Toyota van.
Yeah.
That was the one that they had in Back to the Future. Remember it?
That's what I was just going to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
That the was it the Pakistanis were on the back of?
I want to say it's the Afghanistani terrorists.
Afghanistani?
Yeah.
They'd stolen the plutonium from? Yeah. Man, we just got off on a tangent, didn't we?
Oh my goodness! No kidding.
All right. Anything else for you in quote of the or food for thought?
That's it.
All right. Let's do quote of the week.
Quote of the week.
Oh, it's the quote of the week. You never know what's gonna happen. Quote of the week. You better get right down and vote for it now. Quote of the week. You never know what's gonna happen. Quote of the week. You better get right down and vote for it now. Word.
We're getting the Libyans here in the chat room. Now they say Libyans. That sounds right.
Libyans. That's right. It was Libya.
We were way off.
I knew it was one of the axis of evil.
That's right.
The new axis of evil.
All right. This was a close poll this week. It came down to voting at the last minute today.
Yeah, like one vote, right?
Yeah.
And I'm glad it was this one and not the other one.
Man, I am too. It was almost the one where Clint and I were going to have to make out. But it's not. It's the one where Astrid has beautiful hair. So you've got to be Walter, and I'll be Astrid.
All right. Hello, Astrid.
Walter, what are you doing out here?
Your hair. It's beautiful.
Thanks. Did you fix this radio? Because it's picking up a signal.
It's beautiful.
All right. That's the quote for the quote winner for last week. You know, occasionally, normally we have 4 quotes. Occasionally we have 5 quotes. This week we only have 3. And let's be honest, Clint, there's really only one.
There is only one.
I could have chopped it up because it's longer than normal. I could have chopped it up and made it 2, but then we would have had 4. And I thought, well, let's just keep it as 1.
There's only one
and
quote
go with
this
3.
week. But we have to have some competition.
We have to have some competition,
That's
even
right.
though this may be the most lopsided quote ever. We'll get to it eventually. But first, the first quote is, I lose him either way.
You don't approve?
What happens to him? After the tissue has been removed, what happens to Walter? How many times can a human brain endure something like that?
But Walter told me that that was a risk that he was willing to take.
I don't accept that.
You may not have to. If the plan isn't completed in time, he may regress completely and no longer want to go through with it.
So what you're saying is I lose him either way.
What I'm saying is that your father understands that anything worth fighting for comes with a cost.
There's a lot of horns going on in the background there.
That's what I'm going to do. If we have to read that, I'm going to be the horns.
It was a good example of the Doppler effect in action.
Yes.
Yep.
There you go. Science. Science in motion.
Quote number 2 is, he is no child.
Why is he important to them? What is his purpose?
Why does a child worry you so much?
He is merely a curiosity. And you are mistaken about him. He is no child. He is a chromosomal mistake, a genetic anomaly. Designate progeny XB-6783746. Like all anomalies, he was scheduled to be destroyed. But he went missing. It was a great mystery in my time.
And the final quote this week, and this is the one I say it'll win hands down just because I don't recall a time when we've had this many people in the chat room or even sending emails or on Twitter say that this was the quote of the week before we even had a chance.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is
it.
It was unprecedented.
Yep.
So this is it, and it's called You're the Animal.
Why are you not frightened?
Do you know why you tilt your head in that way? It's an involuntary reflex in your physiology. It changes the angle at which sound waves hit the eardrum, allowing in more stimuli. Like a lizard. I've studied them, too. Intriguing characters. Their brains have evolved over 320 million years. Yet for all their evolution, they form no bonds. Love does not exist for them. They are incapable of dreaming, of contemplating beauty, of knowing something greater than themselves. Not unlike your kind. The experiments we conducted right here in this lab yielded a surprising result. Because for all your years of evolution, you inadvertently redeveloped and honed primitive instincts that we moved beyond long ago. So in reality, you're the animal.
Oh, man.
Man.
Such a great quote.
It is. Again, kudos to David Fury and the writing team and Blair Brown for a great
No
delivery.
kidding. I mean, if you have to go out, if I have to go out of a show that I've been on for 5 seasons,
Yeah.
that's how I want to do it.
That's a
Yeah.
great point, Clint.
Yep.
That they did her props by giving her the exits that they gave her.
They did Mama proud.
Yeah. I'll say, too, the little goon in the background when she said, you're
Yeah.
like lizards, and he's like, "Brr?"
He's like,
I know.
licking flies off the walls.
With no disrespect intended to the actor, because they obviously put them through some makeup and stuff like
Yeah.
that to give them a certain appearance. But they couldn't have picked a more lizard-like looking guy to go. I mean, he did have a line earlier in his office. He did have a line. He wasn't just a total
Stand-in.
There you
Yep.
go. But yeah, he did the perfect head tilt. Like, she talking about us? It was great.
Wait a minute.
I think she just insulted us. I'll prove it by tilting my head.
That's right.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in this week and putting through or dealing with or putting up with. That's what I'm trying to say. My coughing throughout it. We'd love your support. If you want to support what we're doing here at the Fringe Podcast, you can do that by going over to goldenspiralmedia.com/support. There you'll find opportunities to make a donation. There you'll find opportunities to link through to our affiliate links through all of our affiliate partners. And you'll also find a place where you could, if you want to do advertising with any of our Golden Spiral Media podcasts, you can do that there as well over at goldenspiralmedia.com/support.
That's correct. If you'd like to contact us and provide feedback for this episode, you can do so by calling us at 304-837-2278. That's 304-TFPcast. You can email us, preferably audio, at feedback@thefrenchpodcast.com. You can find us on SoundCloud and Facebook at those respective websites /Golden Spiral Media. And, of course, follow us on Twitter for the latest, most up-to-date information at GSM Podcasts. One last thing, if you go to our website, thefrenchpodcast.com, you'll notice a little button on the right-hand side. That's what we call lead pipe. That allows you to press that button and leave a very dense message for our ears in pretty good audio quality. So it's probably the easiest way to leave
We
audio
are
feedback.
getting more feedback through that now than I think we are the Google Voice number.
Which is fantastic.
And I want to remind you, too, about the Fringe finale party. This is the last podcast or the last episode. We'll have the feedback podcast, which we're recording here in just a few minutes for those of you joining us live. This is the last group of podcasts that we'll have before the deadline for the finale party, for the hotel. For the ticket for the party, you can get those up until the day before the event. But the deadline to get the hotel reservation at the discounted rate is January the 2nd. So be mindful of that. Be aware of that date, January the 2nd, if you want to get the discounted hotel rate. All of the party details can be found at thefringepodcast.com/party, or just go over to our website. There's a banner that goes across the top of the page that says that mentions the party and says learn more. Click on that. We'd love to have you in Oklahoma City. And again, if you thought you were going to come and you voted in the poll and now it turns out you're not going to come, please let us know. Send us an email over at the feedback at the Fringe Podcast email address, or leave us a comment on the website, and that way we can kind of make any changes to our plans that we might need to make. Okay? Otherwise, go get your tickets. We look forward to seeing you in Oklahoma City. One last thing. We might have a bonus episode of the Fringe Podcast coming your way before January the 11th. We're trying to work that out. No promises. So make sure you're connected with us in social media. Clint mentioned the Twitter account, GSM Podcasts, and Facebook.com/Golden Spiral Media. If it happens, we will announce it there. So you want to be aware of that. Clint?
That's correct.
Do you have anything else on your plate for today?
I'm going to miss you guys. Have a Merry, Merry, Merry Christmas.
That's right.
And a Happy New Year.
And a Happy New Year.
That's right.
And many more.
And if you don't celebrate either of those where you're from, which is possible.
It's definitely possible.
Have a nice whatever. Have a nice Thursday.
That's right. All right, guys. Until next time, Stay French-tastic.
And keep it nerdy.
The Fringe Podcast and Golden Spiral Media are not associated with Bad Robot Productions, Warner Brothers, or Fox. Golden Spiral Media's use of any and all copyrighted material is only for parody, news analysis, critique, or educational purposes as provided within United States Code Title 17, aka Fair Use. For advertising opportunities, our live show, and other Golden Spiral Media podcast productions, visit goldenspiralmedia.com. Copyright 2012, Golden Spiral Media.